What are these? Why are they adding even more new items to doors? God, I think over 7 or something like that have been revealed so far. This update is truly going to be massive. Anyways, hello everyone and welcome to another video. As you probably know, every day up until the door's subfloor releases, a new teaser featuring content from the update will be released. Today's teaser, however, is very interesting as it just straight up shows us 2 new items that will be coming. These items, however, are very cryptic, with one just straight up being a bodily fluid and the other being heavily associated with another teaser image we received. Now, before I go into dissecting these new items, I would just like to state that I don't think these are item skins. I know in the past I've been a heavy advocate for implementing item skins into the game. However, new evidence has come to light in these teasers, which have constantly disproved that what we originally thought were item skins are actually unique items. So I'll be treating this teaser as showing unique items rather than item skins. Anyways, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so as I've said, 2 new items were revealed in this teaser, with one being relatively easy to make out and the other partially obscured with darkness. The easier of the 2 items to decipher is Basked in Light, and it appears to be a blood bag. These are common to find around hospitals in real life, and they serve a variety of purposes, of course relating to blood, such as storing, transferring, and transfusing the substance. Now, obviously, doors will not feature blood transfusions, so the presence of this item within the game will likely serve a different purpose. Now, my first guess as to how this item would function is as a major healing item, given how it's related to health in the real world. But then I realized that would be rather redundant. There are already several healing items within doors, such as bread, cheese, and smoothies, so adding another one seems to be unnecessary as you already have a bunch of options. So if the blood bag doesn't give players health instantly, how else could it function? Well, I still think it would improve the player's overall well-being, but maybe not just being limited to increased health. One idea I had is that this blood bag item could act as a weaker version of the green soda. In case you forgot, the green soda provides a regeneration effect as well as a speed boost to any player that consumes it. So I guess the blood bag could provide one or the other. If I had to put money on which of those, though, I'd assume the blood bag would give players a regeneration effect, as that seems more correlated to how the item works in real life. Now, as to how players would obtain this item, given how it's often found in hospital settings in real life, I'm guessing it would be encountered in the infirmary, which is like a hospital, likely nearby the beds found there. I would assume that like other items in the game, the blood bag could rarely be found normally in loot containers as well. All in all though, this just seems to be a relatively basic item, and it does appear to be somewhat useful during playthroughs, at least if my theories are correct. The same can't be said for the second item though, which when you really dig into, reveals itself to be a very mysterious and maybe a little even more important than what meets the eye. The second item, although obscured in darkness, appears to actually be a key when the teaser image is brightened. Now, when I first saw this, my mind immediately said, oh, this is the glass key. You see, in a previous teaser, we saw a magnifying glass-themed key in a player's inventory, and given the similarities between that key and the one shown in this teaser, I thought they were the same item. I, however, was very wrong, as both of these keys are entirely different items. The glass key has a blue glass color as well as a brown and gold frame. This new key, however, has a red glass color in an entirely gray and metallic frame. The details on both keys are also a little different, with the original glass key having 2 stripes at the top of its shaft, and this new one having 2 at the bottom of its shaft. These 2 items aren't the same, yet they are very similar to one another. Now you may be thinking that due to their differences and similarities, these could be item skins of one another, but as I've said in the intro, I don't think this is the case. So what could explain these keys then? Well, I believe that instead of being normal items, these are actually quest items. Quest items are items like the room key. Their only purpose is to help you progress through a specific room, and they are required to complete that room too, contrasting to normal items which are optional to use, such as bread or the crucifix. These 2 keys specifically could function like the generator fuses found in the mines, where players must find both the glass key and the strange red and metal one, and use them to open a single door in order to progress. Now, given how these items seem to be quest items, it's likely they could be found in the garden subfloor, as that's the only new area coming in the next update that could feature new puzzle rooms containing these items. However, what if this wasn't the purpose of these key items? I do have another theory that could explain their presence, and if true, it would mean the purpose of these keys could be a lot more functionally difficult to utilize than what you may be anticipating. You see, recently I was watching a video about a particular video game quest unrelated to doors, which isn't important to this video at all, but in the quest, the player receives an item, and throughout completing the quest, the item slowly changes appearance before reaching a final form. What if something like this is present within these two keys, where instead of them being two separate items, they are actually the same item, just changing in appearance and functionality as the player progresses through a specific quest? Now, this quest could still be a normal puzzle room present in the garden subfloor, but it could also be something like a sandwich quest. Sandwich quest, for those unaware, is the name I'm giving to a hypothetical doors quest that, although completely optional, would be insanely difficult and require the player to travel all throughout the game's world. Given how closely these two keys look to each other, they could be a part of this sandwich quest, and the item could change appearance throughout the quest being completed. On the topic of sandwich quests though, the keys could also be a part of this sandwich quest we've been talking about, and be two distinct items rather than one item changing appearance and functionality. Either way though, both items could be a part of both a big expansive or smaller localized quest within the game. Now, before I end off this video, there is one more thing I'd like to mention, and that is the possibility for these all to be item skins. Yeah, I know I was avoiding this claim, but it is still possible. On the very off chance that both the blood bag and the red metal key are item skins, I'd guess the blood bag would be an item skin for vitamins if it offered players a speed boost, or for one of the food items, or maybe even green soda if it offered a health or regeneration boost. Both the glass key variants could be item skins of each other, if one is a completely new item, or they both could be item skins of a pre-existing item in the game, such as the skeleton key. Again, I do believe all of these items are unique and not skins, but if they were skins, that's what I guess they would be skins for. So, to summarize, two new doors items were revealed to be coming in the next update, those being a bag of blood, which is theorized to either provide players with a speed boost or regeneration effect, or maybe even both, such as a weaker version of the green soda, as well as a metal and red colored glass key, which looks very similar to the blue and gold glass key revealed in a previous teaser. I believe these two keys could be part of a quest, either in the garden subfloor or an entirely separate one that only dedicated players can partake in, with either both of the items being required to complete the quest, or both of them being the same item that just transforms into one another as the quest progresses. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of these new items, as well as how you think the glass key and this new key are related, as I definitely don't think their similar appearances are a coincidence and they probably are related to each other. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.